Hi everyone, so we're going to look at the motor effect today, and specifically Fleming's Left Hand Rule, which explains the motor effect. So you might have seen this before, but you need to get your left hand into this position, and what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what each finger actually represents and how it works in the context of a question you might see on the exam. So your thumb represents the direction. If it's pointing upwards, that means the force is also going to be in that direction of the force. Okay, so the thumb would be F for force. Your index finger is pointing at the moment almost like, it's pointing away from you. So that represents the magnetic flux density, so the strength of the magnet. Okay, and so that would be M, and then your middle finger represents the current, which we can also call I for intensity diampere, but the current, which is going to be C, I'm going to say it's C. So FMC, one way to remember it in that order, is father, mother, child, if you can remember sort of that. Or, if you prefer, magnetic flux density is also represented by the letter B. So you could say that was B, and C is current is also represented by I. So you could say that it's FBI if you prefer to remember it like that. It's up to you. It's how you remember it. So force is measured in newtons. Magnetic flux density is measured in Tesla, and current is also always measured in amps. Okay. Right, so let's, how do we actually apply this? Well, it explains how getting a magnet and a current together creates a force, and that's how we get motors to work, and that's why it's called the motor effect, because it makes things move. So if we put two magnets together, let's have a look at this example. If we put two magnets, obviously we've got the North Pole and the South Pole. So magnetic forces always travel from north to south. That's their direction. You should have learnt that. That's one of the basic things. So that's the direction. So that would be the direction that you're going to point your index finger from the north to the south direction. That's the direction you're going to point it. Okay, so the current always goes from positive. Conventional current always goes from positive to negative. So let's say you were given a diagram and it sort of showed the circuit drawn like this. You have plus over there, minus over there. The direction of the current is going to go this way. Okay, so the part of the wire that we've got, this yellow part here, this yellow line, has got an arrow on it already telling us which direction that is. But if it didn't, you would have to start at the positive, trace it round, and go towards the negative. Okay, so that's the current. So if we want to work out which direction the force is going to travel in, what we need to do is make our hand the shape that we know Fleming's Left Hand Rule is, and we need to point all of our fingers pointing in that direction. So if the magnetic force is going sort of left to right, as it is on the picture, the green arrows, you can see them here. So they're going left to right. Point your index finger that way. Now what you'll find is that your middle finger is now pointing towards you. So what you've got to do is you've got to turn your hand upside down, and then you'll find that your thumb is now pointing downwards. Okay, and that's when it's in that position, that's the right answer. So if the question was, what is the direction of the force, then you would say downwards, or something to that effect, because that's the answer. If the current was reversed, so if it was coming towards us, then if you turn your hand back upright, you'll see that your thumb's pointing upwards, so that would change the direction of the force. So one of the questions that I've seen quite a lot is, what happens if you reverse the polarity of the magnet, or you reverse the polarity of the current? And you can see that it just changes the direction of the force. Okay, so have a little play around with your hand like that, and then just remember father, mother, child, or FBI, whichever you prefer. Okay guys, if that was helpful, please subscribe to my channel. It really helps me just making more of these videos. Okay, thank you.